Gentlemen, welcome. We are doing military memes. That is right. And some gun memes, but mostly military memes. It's Paul, combat veteran, MMA fighter, YouTuber. And today we are checking out you, the Discord members, particularly the channel members, but everyone in the Discord got to submit for my torment military and gun memes. Let's get into it. See if I can get this right. There we go. Here's the first one. This is a fave. Waddles towards you. It's explaining why they make minimalist chest rigs, because I'd rather be able to move fast than carry 80 pounds worth of gear. Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. You have to be able to move fast in the first place. This is probably one of my favorite tropes about the tactical wannabe operator world is, again, the number one thing you want is a gym membership. If you cannot you cannot shoot, move, or communicate well if you are unable to physically do so, right? If your goal is to just, defend your household from threats, well, even then you have to be in shape. You have to be able to move, right? The number one threat to a person in this day and age, depending on your age group and stuff, is heart disease. Honestly, if you die of a heart attack, then by definition, right, the criminals win if they outlive you, or whatever boogeyman you're trying to protect yourself from, So yeah, the overanalysis. But this is actually the overanalysis tactical wannabe operator. Drives me bananas, and here's why. If you're a real Navy SEAL, the military pays you to be so good at basically one thing, and that is direct action surgical strikes. That's it. They give you a target, capture or kill, rescue a hostage, they give you a place, and you execute. Right? You don't have to patrol a million times. You don't need to maintain vehicles. You need to plan your operations, but logistics are, not entirely, but largely taken care of, right? In exchange, you need to refine your tactics. And to a Navy SEAL, right, getting that extra 1% quicker, 1% more accurate is decisive. Because again, they're going to be fighting a trained, hardened, committed enemy. The tactical operator doesn't have to deal with that. This is the equivalent of a portly jiu-jitsu white belt watching MMA being like, he leads with his lead leg slightly too far. He needs to pull the leg back. And it's just like, actually, that's not even that accurate. It's the white belt who is like, I need to learn about insert exotic guard here. I want to get my Ashigarami down. And it's like, yo, dude, you can't even keep your balance. Focus on balance and not being just toppled over by people. And then get a real guard, right? And then years down the line, we can work with you on your Ashigarami or whatever. So this is and I get it. You're young, you're enthusiastic, but a lot of these tactical yahoos are not young, right? So anyway, all that to say, get a gym membership, right? That's the number one thing you can do to be tactically prepared. Get a gym membership. And it's also just good. Just being alive is good. All right. Oh, we're in the military territory now. I love it. As you can see, this new soldier is... arriving to his unit, ready to serve his country, and the unit is on fire. What do we have? We have the plant from CID. That's the Criminal Investigative Division. So CID is like the Keystone Cops of the investigative world. They're just so amateurish, it's actually pretty comical. They're badly under-resourced, right? If any real crime happens, you definitely want to call any other federal agency, like the FBI or something. The FBI will have jurisdiction there. I'm almost certain of it. Or the DODIG or something like that. Like there's lots of other agencies that have actual professional investigators that are like properly funded and trained. So CID is like amateur hour. So when they try to do their undercover operations, it's usually like comical how poorly the CID agents fit in, right? EO violations. Yep. Yeah, soldier on suicide watch. Yep. Platoon sergeant going through a divorce. That's a tough place to be, actually. That platoon sergeant is kind of the linchpin of their unit. So if they're emotionally compromised, you're in trouble. Upcoming NTC rotation. Okay, I hate NTC rotations. I managed to duck all of them, mostly because as MPs, we aren't big enough to warrant our own NTC rotations. We would literally just do pre-deployment training in-house in Fort Riley, which was A-okay with me. A couple times we would do other exercises, but they were like disaster response. So like I did like a 2-week exercise in like Indiana, which was weird. Oh, a specialist with domestic abuse charges? Okay, well I mean, here's the funny thing. Some of these are like routine events, right? Like EO violations. Dude, I don't want to say there shouldn't be any EO violation investigations. But if you have people being jerks, it's good to have them investigated. What you don't want is to pretend like we don't have an EO problem here. That's the sign of a unit that just means you're blind, right? Yeah, soldier on suicide watch, good, same thing, right? It's not good, it's bad, but being involved is good, right? Giving a shit is good. NTC rotations, good, you're training hard. Okay, specialists with domestic abuse charges. You know what, that too, good, charge them. If you're going to treat your spouse badly, don't cover it up. Put that guy on, yeah, get him charged. The Army doesn't need that toxicity, right? S4, fraud, wasted, abuse. Okay, S4 is logistics. I'm not going to say it's okay. Fraud isn't okay. But waste, the Army wastes a lot of stuff at every echelon. See also Afghanistan, right? Remember those $6 billion of U.S. government equipment that we just left there? China has all of it. China, I guarantee, Chinese like intelligence teams showed up in Afghanistan to Bagram and are like, we are going to purchase all this. And they put it on flatbeds and they hauled it right on out, right? Sexual assault investigation on first sergeant. That's problematic. A first sergeant is a little high up to be catching that kind of stuff. That said, I've had some horror stories. I had a friend of mine who got drummed out of the Army because she was a lieutenant in some sort of battalion shop, and they deployed to Kuwait. They had a lot of money, not a lot of accountability. The whole battalion did. And she and the battalion sergeant major and the battalion commander and an enlisted like admin staffer. So the sergeant major and the battalion commander were males. My friend was female, as was this enlisted admin staffer, would all take these TDY trips to like Saudi Arabia and Dubai and stuff. And they got busted. Apparently, she was sleeping with the sergeant major and the enlisted soldier was sleeping with the battalion commander. They found it out because they had the nuance to book 2 rooms. And also, it was like comically obvious, right? Like they didn't really hide it. It just goes to show you how stupid you people in power can be, right? You can get promoted, but you cannot promote critical thinking skills. Like, gee, if I sleep with this person, my military career will come to a close and I will be unemployed and unemployable, right? Because remember, friends, sleeping with a work colleague, as long as it's consensual, is frowned upon, but in the military, sleeping with a work colleague is illegal, consensual or not. Depending on rank, but, almost always illegal. Okay, what civilians see. An angry Marine. What I see. NVG still mounted during daytime. Unserviceable Kevlar cover. Improper stock weld. Weapon still unsafe, not shouldered. Non-melt resistant gloves. Poor use of cover. Improper use of sling planks. Okay. Let's All right, let's talk about. So some of these things are not actually the problems that you think they are. NVGs mounted during daytime. Listen, if you have a 12-hour guard shift, and it goes from day to night, I expect you to start with your NVGs mounted, because obviously I don't want you to have to fumble around for them once it's dark out, right? Plus, if the NVGs are on the top of your helmet, they're not going to get lost, right? The unserviceable cover, I don't. Oh yeah, that is a tear. Yeah, but they have it properly dummy corded. They have it properly, you see, tied to the helmet itself. That's actually a real military move, because losing the night vision devices is a bad thing. Unless, of course, you're a big army and you leave the night vision devices in Afghanistan, then it's fine. We don't talk about what happened there, right? The improper stock weld. Okay, so it depends. Right, I was trained by the U.S. Army to when I'm doing controlled pairs to actually ride the stock higher on my shoulder. That would enable me to bring it up and consistently draw the weapon in. Right, and given that the ACOG sits higher, quite a bit higher than the iron sights, right, you may actually need to adjust your sight picture. I'm not faulting it. Plus, this person's yelling at something. So what I'm imagining is they're on a guard post somewhere, and someone is approaching their building who needs to stop, who needs to stop and be searched, or just show their hands or something. So the weapon is pointed at them, but it's mostly a communication. It's an escalation of force to say, hey, because even if there's a language barrier, someone goes from this to this, and they're uniformed, that's your cue to take them seriously and to dip, right? Weapon still on safe? Yes. The last thing you do before you engage is put your weapon on safe. So what I'm seeing is probably an escalation of force, that if this person or vehicle comes closer, then that Marine is going to light them up. Non-melt resistant gloves? Yep, that's a problem. Yeah, in an environment where there's a lot of improvised explosive devices and a lot of vehicle fires killed and injured a lot of soldiers. And so they made everything flame proof or flame resistant. But gloves are pretty crucial, because obviously your hands are a pretty important part of your body. Okay, not shouldered. Yeah, we talked about that. Oh yeah, and blanks. Well, yeah, because it's a training exercise. Yeah, improper use of sling. Yeah, the sling's not around. Here's the thing, but he also has this 240 ammo, right? So here's what probably happened. He's a 240 gunner. He sees somebody approaching. He's like, hey, we got to do an escalation of force. So he gets out from behind the 240. He picks up his rifle and he goes, hey, show me your hands, and starts communicating with that approaching person or vehicle, right? It's just easier to do from that angle. Plus, if you're behind a 240, like we talked about in other videos, if you've got a machine gun, right, you can't get it that low. But an M4, literally, and this is probably why he's improperly using cover, is because if I'm down here, right, and I'm behind a 240, I can't really get below defilade. But if somebody is close to the building, I can get up and be like, hey, show me your hands, or back away, right? You have to get taller, and you get a better angle with your M4. That's what I think is happening here. That said, I understand the meme. So many shows that really, they don't put in the effort to get even the basic details right, and it's pretty annoying, right? Or maybe they do, but the directors just don't listen, because they're like, it won't look cool for him to have tied his NVGs to his helmet. And it's like, do you want a realistic movie or not, dude? That dude's gonna tie his NVGs to his helmet. You just gotta get over it. This is a popular meme. Seen this numerous times. The recruiter. I hate this country. If you join the U.S. Army, you'll get to leave this country often. Not necessarily true anymore, man. It used to be true, not so much. I'm just going to say this. Listen, the number one reason most people join the Army, the sense of patriotism. I think it's because it's a good job for a young person. It's actually a great job for a young person. And in fact, especially in this day and age, right? Where if you don't, even if you go to college, it still is a tremendous amount of work to get into a white collar professional job, right? How many people graduate with a business degree and then go work at Starbucks? And I don't mean the business side of Starbucks, right? It's like a trope. Unless you do a bunch of internships and you get a bunch of real world practical experience, you won't get a job. Well, military has no shortage of real world practical experience it can give you. And unlike an internship, they'll pay you, right? And they'll actually give you health insurance. So it's really not a bad gig. And I think that's the drive. I think that, and you got to know somebody who does it, right? Your cousin, your brother, your aunt, your uncle, your mom, your dad, somebody else was in the military who can tell you that, hey, listen, this isn't the movies. You be take the thing you like, be a mechanic, be an armorer, right? And yeah, you deal with some BS, but like, Zach, as we know from Zach's stories, right, from Mike Burn Fire, it's not you're not like a Navy SEAL, right? It's not like the movies where you're just like fighting for survival every day. It's like it's a lot of BS. It's a lot of logistics. It's a lot of problem solving. It's if you are 18, it is a great introduction to the way the real world works. It's messy. It's hard. It's got a lot of rules. It's got a lot of rules you can break. There are consequences to making dumb choices. The patriotism thing, yeah, of course, you shouldn't hate America and join the army. But there's a lot of people who were just like, yeah, I love America. I love getting paid, right? Love having health insurance. Looks out for my family. I would say the number of times I had like strong patriotic feelings in the military, I would say we're like less than 10, right? Like less than 10 times was I really like, this is my home, right? The number of times I had strong feelings about like doing right by my soldiers and being proud of the work we had done and like being the pride that comes from accomplishing the mission. That was a daily or weekly feeling, right? So I think that's what makes you join, honestly. That's what got my brother to join. My parents thought I had gone off the rails when I said I was going to do ROTC in college. They thought I had just lost it, right? And then 2 years later, my brother did it, and my parents were like, "How did this happen?" Well, the answer's clear. It's because I had done it, and Kevin was like, "Not only is it not scary, but it seems like they're kind of looking out for him." Okay, all right. First off, shout out to this dude for being metal, right? This is Native American Joseph Medicine Crow fighting in World War II when he completed the 4 tasks required to become a war chief. Touched an enemy without killing him, took an enemy's weapon, led a successful war party, and stole 50 horses from a German camp. Okay, wild, and completely metal. But then, I love the comment below, because this is probably my favorite part. Mother effer was doing side quests in a real war. Guys, I am here to tell you that side quests in a real war, the war is like 85% side quests, maybe more, right? I mean, here are just some examples of the side quests that me or guys on my unit went on. The Afghan hat collector. Afghans have a really unique style of hat, and it can be made of different materials, different textiles, and they're very decorative. And, I was like, spend money in every market, right? Because every shopkeeper that you give money to is going to be like, hey, next time they come here, don't screw with them because they spend money at my shop, right? You laugh. That's how that works, right? Money can buy you a lot of friends, right? And so I had a squad leader whose entire mission was to get as many of those hats as possible. He left country with like 15. Right, which is funny because who would wear, right? No one wears. They're very specific to Afghanistan, right? Another side quest example is obviously the lifting side quest, right? That was one I dived deep into, right? Where I was just like, at first I was like, I'm gonna be fit, I'm gonna do CrossFit, and then just like the stress kind of eats at you, and all you want to do is just lift the heaviest weights possible. So literally every single evening, I would just put on like angry rap music in the gym tent where no one else was, and I would just like deadlift and power clean and like squat and just like move as much weight as possible. I was huge. I was 187, which is massive for me. And yeah, I mean, I think my best, I did a power clean of like, I'm gonna say like 185 or 200. Like it was a lot for a dude who's like, I was hitting like my body weight in power cleans, which was a lot for me, right? Other side quests include things like, well, there's obviously the getting promoted side quest, which involves the points system, doing correspondence courses and stuff. There was the college course side quest that a lot of our soldiers were on, and we would actually try to move them along that side quest because the perks are really good. So we would actually like shuffle our patrol schedule so that soldiers with exams would be able to take them. We would like kick people off the computers who were like talking to their fans, be like, she has an exam, get off the computer. It's like 2 a.m. in Afghanistan because it's like 6 a.m. It's like 9:30 a.m. in East Coast time. They're just like, she's gonna take her fucking exam. Oh man, what other side quests were there? There was obviously the food mini game, where both you would try to acquire food. Oh, the non-mini game was a good one, the non-side quests. So sort of like the hats, right? You can put anything in non. And so we would go on a quest to try to find all the exotic types of naan that people would make. Naan is the Afghan bread that they cook in the oven. It's delicious. And because it was so common, and because things like potable water and Gatorades were like a rare treat, we would trade cases of Gatorade for naan. And so, yeah, we would try to find different flavors of naan. And we actually got so into it that when we contracted Afghan security guards, so we had a private company hire to be like augmented security for our base. We added a rider to the contract that said, you will bake your naan on site and we will be able to purchase it. And so when they did that, they rolled out cinnamon sugar naan, which was as awesome as it sounds, right? We had raisin naan, garlic naan, I mean, I think someone put like potatoes in it, like almost like French fried potatoes in it. The naan quest was a good quest. And of course, there were things like poker games with with the American mercenaries, all the other side quests. So the point is, there's a lot of side quests in war and in every war. Oops, wait, nope. There we go. Oh, this was traumatizing. When a private comes in and says, Sarn, I can't find my weapon. Right now, right, top Sandy, heart rate, 60 beats per minute. Right here is like 180. The brain processes it, and before you're consciously aware that you are fucked, your heart is just like, because it's going to be a nightmare. Losing a weapon results in a tremendous amount of punishment and ass pain for your unit, right? It is such a pain. It's such a pain, in fact, that like if I could not carry a weapon, or I've discussed this in other videos, like if I could have gotten away with just like taking an Afghan AK, I 100% would have, like 100%, because it's so annoying to have to and because you have to inventory every single sensitive item, every weapon, every optic, every radio, every fill device, every GPS by serial number every single month. It is a pain in the ass, and it is a complete logistic fuckfest. And again, bear in mind, it's for a GPS device. Like I get it. In the 90s, it was like the bleeding edge of military technology. But I have a GPS device. We all do. Even in 2010, we did. Drove me bananas. Anyway, that look of exhaustion and anger is real. EOD. This is old school, right? Look at this. This is like pre-2006. So this is probably like 2004. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna say this is 4 or 5. Sapper life. It's not. EOD is EOD. They're their own people. Explosive Ordnance Disposal. They're the ones who wear the bomb suits and are designed to dispose of or neutralize improvised explosive devices and other unexploded ordnance. Bomb disposal. Right? I'm going to go poke that there bomb with this here pointy stick. That is exactly the level of professionalism that EOD actually operates with. I have continuously been shocked at EOD's like protocols, but also it's really hard to understand how they think. Like their minds, EOD is weird for a bunch of reasons. You can imagine that being EOD in Iraq and Afghanistan was a high stakes, high stress, high casualty job. It's hard. Like people were losing friends in the EOD community like yearly. And so I think what happens is like your psyche gets a little weird when there's that much stress on it, you know? They also deploy like a lot. And so, yeah, I never really was able to understand why they chose one thing over another when it came to IEDs. Like, I've seen them where they go full bomb suit, they get the robot, they send the robot out, they claw at it, and then they blow it up, and it takes a long time. And I'm like, okay, careful, methodical, systematic. I'm like, this is the way it's done. And then the next call, the same basic setup, we get security, EOD comes out, they are like, we're going to blow it in place. I'm like, okay, blow it in place. Like, get the robot. They go, no, no, no. They pull out a rope. They tie C4 to the end of the rope, and they lasso. And they throw the C4, and then they kind of tug the rope until the C4 is kind of close to the IED, and then they blow it up. And I'm like, what? You were using robots yesterday, and today you're a cowboy? Like a literal cowboy. Like you wrestled that dar explosive with your lasso. It didn't make any sense. They're the strangest group of people. And I love them dearly. As I have a soft spot for every eccentric insular culture that's just really good at their job and is tough to comprehend for anything else. First off, I want to point out, this guy at the top is MMA fighter, former football player, and K1 kickboxing champion, Bob Sapp. Bob Sapp is famous for winning like legit K1 kickboxing fights. Like he really did win the K1 kickboxing title. But then at some point, he realized that like getting punched in the head doesn't actually feel good, but it's hard to make money. So he would take these fights in Japan and like would basically crumple to the mat when he was struck with any blow. Head, body, didn't matter, and would tap out. So like a lot of like up and coming Japanese fighters would get like a high profile win, and he would collect a check and not take any head trauma. So it's all good, but Bob Sapp's a character. Anyway, he's a private. He goes, oh, I can't read. And these are all these other Marines going, oh, no worries, reading is for officers. Guys, I'm here to tell you, I've met a lot of officers that can't really read or write so good. I mean, I'm not, okay, they're not like illiterate, right? They pass college classes. But I've seen some people, I've definitely had some people who I was like, your wife did your online college classes. Like you passed college in online school back before every school was online, right? Like 10 years ago, right? It was a lower tier of school that was doing this online stuff. And I can guarantee your wife did these because I know your wife is better at, I know your wife can write because she's in the family readiness group. And the fact that you just wrote a paragraph with no topic sentence tells me that something that was covered in like fourth grade, just in one ear, out the other for you, friend. So yeah, that lower bottom 10% of officers probably can. These lance corporals were just read circles around them. Oh, here we go. Last one. Another LARPerator. Yes, another LARPerator meme. Love it. How did 3 men in their 30s not have $800 between them? The economy is in shambles. I think those are all Tarkov guns, actually. I think those are literally screenshots of Tarkov. Yeah, because I don't know an actual person who bought that, like, BZ13 buttstock, right? Because in Tarkov, it makes a huge difference. You're like your buttstock, and then in the real world, it's just like it's just an inert piece of plastic that like you put against your shoulder. Yeah, again, you've heard this before, but I'm gonna beat it to death because that's what I do. LARPerators. They love gear and they hate training. Listen, you buy a stock AK, you buy a stock M4, and then you spend the remaining $2,000 that you would have spent on G-Wiz bullshit, and you spend that on ammunition and range time. That's it. Get great with iron sights. Get great with iron sights. And then when you're really good, then buy one good optic. And honestly, that's it. You do that, you have all the tactical G-Wiz shit you need. Like that night, like the lasers. The lasers aren't helpful, guys. The lasers are good for marking targets, and they're good if you are doing like close quarters, room clearing in the dark. But unless you're planning on cutting the power to your own house before you like defend it from the enemy, put the laser away. You don't need it. Put a flashlight, honestly. And you can tape that flashlight on it. Anyway, guys, that is my take. Thank you guys for these awesome memes. These were actually great. I had a blast. I hope you enjoyed my various trips down memory lane. Thanks again to the Discord for sharing all of these sick dank memes. And if you want to join the Discord, links in the description, guys. Other than that, I'll see you in the next one.